secrets too. Not knowing the envy and jealous you. All that time in the air you was shushing, not knowing this bad-minded pushing behind your back like a
WEFM, the refresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
Alrighty, so time for an SPG. It is 7:45, and that means it's time for us to get commentary from Mr. Kingsley DeFreitas. Kingsley, good morning to you.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hi there. Cool and copacetic and thing, Irie man.
The other young ladies there?
Morning.
Are you so quiet? Yeah. Did I see that you're expecting potential Prime Minister, Minister of Finance as your guest after 8?
We are expecting the current Minister of Finance and Area Representative for East St. George, Gonsalves. Yes, that gentleman.
Well, that would be interesting because he is not my favorite politician. But I coming to realize that this young man has the ability to make some level of impact on the political landscape. I listened to him in the last of Parliament, and you could see that he cut from the cloth of Gonsalves. I think that the people of the constituency that he holds don't have a comparison when it comes to having a new elected parliamentarians to the continue. Gonsalves has a few things going for him. He have a seat that was traditional Labour Party was held by former Prime Minister Robert Milton Keto. He had a seat that was held by Clayton Morgan. The people, we call him Mr. Kiki, but people didn't like him. Cameron happened to be Gonsalves' son and Minister of Finance and doing a relatively good job. So based on that, I think that he's going to edge out the person who the NDP claimed came close last election. Like I said, he's not my favorite politician. But if you look at it as a quality person who can represent us locally, regionally, and internationally, you have to focus on Gonsalves. Because let me tell you something. When the time that come for Gonsalves have to go, we have to find a competitive, a dynamic leader. I don't know if the people see that in Dr. Friday, but there is a glimpse of hope in Canada's Gonsalves potential. I often wonder what the Prime Minister looks for in an individual who is elected as a parliamentarian to be a Minister of Finance. When I heard that Canada was going to be appointed, because his career is based on law, I had my reservation. But paying attention to him, I think that he has graduated and qualified himself to be the Minister of Finance. I don't know if that will be enough for persons to propel him to take over the leadership of the ULP. I had my cousin leading, but it appears that Suboto Caesar becoming complacent on the job. And I tell you something, I go to Suboto Caesar constantly quite often. And I'm a bit disappointed about the comments I'm getting from people when related to Suboto Caesar. He's also a quality person, but I don't know if he's going to continue to impress on people's mind. I called him yesterday morning because I went up in an area called Savannah. He knows it quite well. The road surface is at its best. Good condition. But hey, You have to drive with your hand on the horn because both sides of the road want you to clean. I said to him because people are saying, oh, you Kingsley tell someone to pay the cleaning. So I call him and he just brushed aside. So I say, boy, why do I making a plea for people to get some help from some season just to get the road clean? But I am still continuing to emphasize myself that Camilo Gonsalves is best placed to replace his father, the right honorable Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves, when the time is right. I ain't putting in a plug for him. But he good at what you do, he good at what you do. So I'm hoping that you, Miss Samuel, when Camilo Gonsalves comes to Parliament, come to the WEFM this morning, you don't afraid to ask him any hard question because he has the ability to answer. And you need to do that because I think the people need some answers from him. He made some effort to explain the situation was taking place with Port in Kingston. But the average person wouldn't understand what he was saying. And he kind of keep out the technical part and deal with the jargon. So I think I'm putting you on notice that I'm expecting you to put out all your stuff this morning. And forget that Dr. Thompson will be there to intimidate you. Okay? Because
So
he
Kingsley, all right.
want to be the cushion.
All right. So Kingsley, if you want for me to ask him one question, give me the one question you want for me to ask him. I have my questions, but let me hear what your one question is.
My question I would want you to ask him is the explanation that he gives what the problem taking at the port. Is it really true? And who is paying for the repairs? And that will be my contribution to today. I'll have a wonderful day. I'll share it right here tomorrow.
All right, no problem, Kingsley. Have a good one today.
All right.
All right, so I was writing down Kingsley's question. All right, that's why I took a while there. Writing down Kingsley's question. All righty, so that was Kingsley's commentary. More thoughts that he shared with regards to Camilo Gonsalves. I suppose, in Kingsley's opinion, he is Prime Minister in waiting. So, yeah, we could take the call. Morning, Queens.
This is one of the rare interview the finance minister would do outside Star FM and Cecil Ryan on a Sunday. Other station have said repeatedly they tried to get him on the program and he wouldn't come on. And I believe it's because of I saw an allegation that was made. I won't go into it back in 2018 controversy. So he probably afraid, the host probably going to ask him about those allegations. That's why he restrained from going. And it should be right there to come on. Dr. Thompson is on, and if you guys got questioning certain question that Dr. Thompson thinks he might be uncomfortable with, Dr. Thompson is going to enter second.
Dr. Tal, Queens, you have no faith in Dr. Tal?
Yeah, he learned from the best. You know, Whitney Houston said, a song called
I learned from the best.
I learned from you. He learned from the Dr. Thompson learned from the Prime Minister. That he's the best at that. So divorce and going along through was something to do, nothing to do with something. Camilo was on the 5th anniversary. No, the 5th term. The Friday night of the 5th term. Him and Sabota was on. I called in, I asked Sabota 4 questions. I didn't ask Camilo no questions. They eventually cut me off, and Camilo said he lucky he wasn't holding the button, that he'd have cut me off a long time. So, and I'm saying the allegation that he's afraid that I believe he's afraid to answer, he could have just, if that question comes up, all he could do is just say, listen, I'm not here to discuss that. I'm here to discuss X, Y, Z. I'm not here to discuss. That's all he could do. I mean,
so that was one of the questions you posed to him?
Huh?
Was that one of the questions you posed to him?
No, I told you I did not say nothing to him.
Oh, okay,
I did not ask him no question. I asked about the 4 questions. But after they cut me off, he said if he was holding the button to cut me off, not that. But all I'm gonna say, if that question come up, that allegation come up in the interview, all you gotta say, listen, I'm not here to discuss that. Because I remember Vice Cartel's son was on an interview, a show called On Stage, and they asked him about some allegation that he got a 15-year-old pregnant. And Vice Cartel's son said, listen, I'm not here to discuss that. I'm here to discuss music, and the guy move on. That's all. But Camilo is shying away from a lot of programs, I believe, because. But I'm not gonna call him. I'm gonna listen. I'm not gonna call him. So
you're not, Queens. You are not. Oh, he gone. All right. So that was Queens and that was Kingsley there. All right. Okay. So, we have Joshua. Hi, Joshua. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Now, you Vincentians don't know how blessed. Vincentians don't know how blessed they are. You have the opportunity to have politicians on your show where Vincentians could field them. We do not have that privilege. So please, guys, don't abuse it. Be thankful. Before I lose the thought, my most important reason for calling is to wish Miss Velma Maloney of Redland Park a happy birthday. I know Velma as Aggie, and I taught Aggie. I attempted to hit Aggie once in class, and she looked at me. She said, if you hit me, I got a stone with your name written on it. Now, Velma Aggie Maloney has now grown into one of St. Vincent's most productive and positive young women. I know she's listening to me now. So, Aggie, I would love to, next time I come to St. Vincent, I would love you to give me that stone because you said you did have it with my name written on it. And I'm glad you never used it. And I'm so glad to see that you've turned yourself into a very positive lady. And in closing, again, I couldn't understand your story involving the police officer where it's alleged this man made a threat and the police just walked away from that. That man should have been taken into custody, locked up that is, and the woman taken into protective custody. He made a threat. And I don't know what it's like in St. Vincent, but in the real world, that is enough to give him jail time. So if that story is true, that police officer or police officers really, some heads must roll. So have a great day. And Anita, you could hit me up anytime today. That's all right. I'm very relaxing.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Joshua. All right. Anything from you?
No.
All right. So there's just one thing that that Queens mentioned that I just want to touch on in terms of politicians or aspiring, politicians, right? Whether they're seasoned or young. And that some of them seem to only want to go on certain stations where they feel comfortable with the host. I am in agreement with something that Queen said in that when you are in public office, you have to know how it is to be able to deflect a question. Now, I'm not saying to deflect a question and ramble. I'm saying to deflect a question in a diplomatic way, in terms of your response in a diplomatic way. And one of the reasons why it is that I mentioned this is that I tend to get the impression that there are times when some feel comfortable being interviewed by particular hosts, which to me, you have to recognize that there is a listening audience or the demographic changes, right? And that there are some persons who are going to be listening to, even on the same station, different hosts. So to me, persons within public office should not shy away from being interviewed by individuals. Now, for me, I will say this though, that persons doing the interviews, the interviewers, should not be rude. They should not be aggressive, right? They can be able to find a way to get a response without being rude and being necessarily aggressive. And yeah, that's really just all I wanted to say on that, because I think that too often, if you're only going to go where you are comfortable, then maybe the type of questions that persons want to hear answered, they're not going to be asked, right? So in public speaking and being a public office, it's all sorts of training that you have to undergo. You really should undergo how to speak public speaking, even in general matters of diplomacy, etc., protocol. Is a lot that they really should be able to do. I'm not sure what training politicians or aspiring politicians go through in terms of formal training. But these are things that they really should be able to do. All right. So be exposed to such training. So yeah, I think that was the only thing that I wanted to make in regards to what Queens has said. Good morning, Doc. Doc, why are you looking at me? Hold on, let me open your mic. Go ahead, let me hear you.
Training of politicians.
Yeah, do y'all get training in public speaking? Did you receive training in public speaking?
A lot of people who eventually become public have a private life and a public life prior to actually being elected. And some are lawyers. Lawyers are profound speakers. But there are different audiences. There's some audiences that are going to be at the UN. There'll be some audiences that's going to be to school kids. And there'll be audiences to your constituents. You know what I mean? So there are different audiences. And not that you're insincere by speaking differently, but in terms of messaging and connecting and communicating is very, very different.
Yeah, it's very different. But then when you are speaking, when you have to conduct interviews, when persons are celebrities, they go through that training in order to know how to answer questions, right? So let's say I pose a question to you and you do not appreciate the question. Are you going to be defensive and aggressive to me, or are you going to find a way out of how to not answer that question? That's what I mean in terms of that training before actually doing it.
You see, the training, it depends on the question. If somebody is aggressive in the questioning to you, then the best approach might be to be soft and mild. But some persons may think that is also weak and that you should be aggressive back or fire with fire. I'm not sure really. Each issue is going to be different. But there's clearly going to be some issues where the training of somebody in the media to put forward certain questions can also be deficient. You know what I mean? And that they could throw a googly and a fastball at you. The thing is that if you're saying you should be able to handle it all, you should be able to take a knock on the chin and turn the other cheek, then that's also fine. Yes, that happens most of the time. But I think you are also, in some cases, going to be respected with respect how you hit back. And that's where you get the pick-on, you know what I mean? And the jabs and so forth. And some broadcasters are also politicians in their own right. They have a right, a fundamental right to go on and become a politician themselves. Doesn't mean, I've seen that. People in the media go on to be, I have seen broadcasters eventually vying to become candidates. I could name you a couple of them in some respect. So, no, I think, yes, there's always training, but everybody's not going to be trained in the same way. And
no, well, not necessarily trained in the same way, but at least the exposure to it.
There's certain moral and to be calm and to keep your cool and so you will take a little knock on the chin every now and again and walk away and turn the other cheek. But sometimes you have to, I think, hit back.
So the answer to my question was no, though? Was it no? No formal training that you underwent?
Formal training? What do you mean prior? You mean the politician? You mean for
whether it's prior or
you mean after you win, you go through a 10-month course?
No, Doc, I'm not saying a 10-month course. I'm just talking about exposure.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Yes.
I think interestingly, do you know when I went to politics, Bill Clinton's team came down. A team that had supported Bill Clinton and gave us some training. And believe it or not, we went over to St. Lucia. And along with other people from St. Lucia and from Dominica, we all had some element of training.
Okay, so
let me put it that way.
Yes. All right.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Long answer. Queen's, I would love to hear her Queen's question, though. I'm answering the question without hearing the question.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All righty, so we are heading on out. Time here in SVG, it is 8:05, and our time check came through the compliments of New Haven Funeral Home.
Death